Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mike Gastin. Welcome back. Want to talk for a moment about jobs and work. Sounds boring, doesn't it? Well, here's the thing. You hear more and more, especially across some of the younger generations, millennials, Gen Z, and so on, about how much they hate their job, how dehumanizing, how depressing, how miserable their work is. And as a Gen Xer, you would expect me to be critical of these people, these poor kids crying boohoo. There is a part of that for me. There's an element where I look at our society and I'm like, look, you got to buck up. You just have to start developing some resilience and some inner strength. You could build a whole channel around that, and we should. But I think we do ourselves a disservice if we just discount out of hand what these people are saying, because I think there's something else going on here. Yes, we have to talk about generational resilience, generational strength, generations and their values, et cetera, and those changing values and how they are either constructive or destructive to a society and to individuals finding flourishing and so on. I could talk all day about that ad nauseum. But there is something that has happened to the American workplace, let's say. If you look at the sectors of industry in America, and if you look at the types of jobs available, there has been a change. Globalization in many ways has hollowed out the American job market. Jobs that were more physical, blue collar. I don't mean physical like you're breaking a sweat, but just you're active, physically doing something, working in a plant, a factory. Those jobs still exist. However, they don't exist to the degree that they used to. I'm not saying that those are the only kind of jobs that are good or fulfilling. I don't mean that in any way. But what you find as a lot of production industries offshore and have been offshoring for decades now, going to places like China, Vietnam, Mexico, even across the border to Canada, the American kind of industrial employment market has been hollowed out, as have other industries within the employment world. Jobs that used to be available are not available anymore. They're just not available. And so you've lost a variety and a diversity of opportunities, not just to earn a good buck, but to do certain kinds of work. And I think this may be a contributing factor as to why a lot of young people find their jobs so depressing, so demoralizing, so dehumanizing, because the kinds of jobs that are left are jobs that are in many ways soul-sucking. So you've got this globalization trend, sucking jobs away, pulling jobs away and putting them into other economies. Yes, not all of those jobs are glorious and fulfilling. I get it. But there's been a hollowing out of the American job market. On top of that, when you look at the efficiencies gained through automation, through digital technologies, through disintermediation, and so on, you have an elimination of a lot of jobs where people actually were able to do things that were commensurate with their skill set, with their interests, and so on. Those jobs just don't exist anymore. I'm not trying to make any specific statement here. I'm not attacking anything, but I think for those of us, my generation and older, we're so quick to criticize younger generations. And younger generations, you got to be criticized a little bit. Not you specifically, every younger generation. I was part of a younger generation. My generation deserved critique and criticism because those are the kinds of things that push you as a generation to overcome the shortcomings, weaknesses, and so on, because every generation, every human being, every group of humans has blind spots, weak spots, values that are not serving them, and so on. And so we need external forces like other generations, people that are older than us that have experienced life in ways that we have yet to experience it, or have experienced it in ways that we'll never experience it. I never had to ride a horse to work. There are still people alive, barely, but they're alive, that lived during those times. And it's good for us to hear from them because their perspective, although not specific to mine, still has salience. It still has, it still can speak into my life, and there are things that I can learn. So I think it's important, if you're in the younger generation, to be open to these criticisms, not just to critique, or not just to defend yourself and to slap back, clap back. However, a lot of these criticisms, I think, are unfair because we in the older generations are not considering how the markets have changed, and we're not considering the types of jobs that are now prevalent and available that you find yourselves in. And yeah, often you get yourself in a job that pays really well, and the work is really, honestly, dehumanizing. It's mechanized, systemized, and so on. And add on top of that, I talk about the digitization, the technology, and so on, removing jobs. It also places a layer of dehumanization upon jobs. When I was younger, and I think generations older, we weren't being monitored every moment. Every little thing we did wasn't being recorded in a server somewhere. I wasn't being calculated down to the nth moment of efficiency. There was no big brother snooping. Yeah, I may have had a terrible manager, and trust me, kids, Uncle Mike has had terrible managers. I hated that. That would infuriate me, frustrate me, so on. Every generation has complained about their work. It is not unique to the millennials and Gen Z and incoming alphas. This is a thing that humankind has struggled with. However, I think we're remiss if we don't take a look at our culture collectively and critique it and say, okay, what kinds of jobs are available? What is the work that we are asking people to do? What are the tools that they either have available, don't have available, or are being forced to use? What are the systems and processes? What are the cultures that people are having to work within? What is the nature of this work? And I think if you look at how software is progressing, we're going, oh, we love AI and all this stuff. It does it for you. But you look at the software interfaces. I made this video a while back last year about wanting to leave Adobe because I hated the interface. I hated the way the interface intruded upon me, pushed me to do things, was always interrupting me, and was getting bloated and buggy to the point where it was slowing me down from doing what I needed and wanted to do. And you see this enshittification of software throughout every aspect of our life. It's always remarkable, and it's refreshing when we find a piece of software that is elegant and intuitive and not intrusive. We talk about it. You would think that all software, you look at some sci-fi, and in the future, everything's beautiful and elegant and just integrated, works well. Well, we're living in the future, kids, and it's not. It's a dystopia. It's a dystopia. So I'm not here saying that all is lost or that life really is dystopian in nature, our modern society. But I am saying, I want to put it out there for those watching that, yeah, it's harder these days to find fulfilling work. It's harder to find fulfilling work. And I think that's a truth. Yes, generations need to find more resilience to become stronger and so on. But at the same time, let's not kid ourselves. A lot of the work in big corporations, et cetera, that young people are finding, it's disheartening, it's dehumanizing, and it's depressing. And that's a real thing. What's the answer? Well, I think one of the opportunities, it's not the only answer, but one of the opportunities is to see private business come back to the table, private industry creating opportunities. And I think, the new administration is going to get a lot of critique as being nationalistic and fascistic and all this kind of stuff. The tariffs, people are worried about the tariffs and how this is going to really tank the global economy. I think it's good for all nations considered to be drawing back, ebbing and flowing, pendulum swinging back and forth and so on, cycles of globalization and then a contraction of more of a nationalistic approach to economies. I'm not saying that we should become isolationist, but at the same time to reshore certain industries, to start pulling back in productive industries, jobs, and so on, sectors that allow America to kind of diversify its industrial and work base, its economic base, that allow different opportunities for different skill sets, different types of capabilities. To bring those back into the country is not necessarily a bad thing. Yes, it's painful. All transition is painful. And I'm not convinced that it's going to happen in a way that's beautiful and wonderful. I'm not even certain that they're going to be successful or that they will do it right. But I think that we should be open to the idea that some of these trends of wanting to bring industries back to the U.S., to bolster private industry over giant corporations, these things can lead to more fulfilling, more meaningful, more sustainable work for people like you and I. Would love to know what you guys think in the comments. Do me a favor, just let me know what's been your experience. Am I full of it, or am I onto something? And what can we do about it? Guys, if you're interested in private industry, entrepreneurship, you're trying to build a business, Uncle Mike's got a newsletter. It's free. You can sign up for it. I share tips and tricks and whatnot. Link is down in the description. Would love to have you sign up. And of course, I even have a premium printed monthly newsletter for entrepreneurs. You can learn more about that if you go to my website. Guys, love each and every one of you. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.